Hey, Gabriel.
Hey, Gaybros Jose.
Where are we today?
We're still in Palm Springs, but today we're sitting in the pool.
Well, I'm not sitting. I'm just floating.
We're floating.
We're
standing
floating,
in the pool.
and you will float too, Georgie. And what did we watch this time?
So this was definitely my pick. I'm sorry.
Yes, you should.
This
You
is a
better.
French film from 1991 called Tout le matin du mouton.
Don't look
All,
at me.
all,
just
all the mornings of the world. It's a period piece from France.
Yeah.
The film came out in 1991.
Okay. And what is? Oh my God! Is that this was your pick? Why? Why did you pick this?
So, I'll tell you this. You and I watched, not together, but we watched Triangle of Sadness. And both in the film and in the trailer is this amazing piece of classical music. I'm going to play it.
Oh, you're going to play. You're going to make it even harder.
Do you remember this? It goes on for 8 minutes,
Yeah.
and it's so beautiful. And I fancy myself a lover of classical music, and when I heard this,
Oh my God!
It's good, right?
Yeah.
so I heard it in the trailer, and I thought, who is this? I looked it up. It's by this guy named Marin Marais, a French composer,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd never heard of him, and I was like, how the fuck haven't I heard of this guy? So I googled him a little bit, and this film came up, and it's apparently a film about his life, and I said, Jose, you have to watch it.
Without watching it first.
I knew nothing about this film besides it was about this guy. That's it. I
Okay.
didn't read a review. I knew nothing.
One thing, and this is a bit more of a question, more about our friendship, more than actually about like your taste in cinema or anything. But it's like when you actually think about like, hey, I'm going to be like watching this movie. Do you resort first to say that it's like, hey, let's just watch it? I need to make Jose watch this too.
Well, with our podcast,
And there is no judgment.
it's different because we watch new cinema, we
Yeah.
watch things we don't know about. So I knew that I could ask you to watch this without having watched it. We could both love it or hate
I
it.
hate it, yeah.
But
I'm
it's
interested.
different than when I'm like, hey, you haven't seen The Discreet Charm? We really need to watch that.
Yeah.
So it's a different thing. I was willing to roll the dice. I didn't know if this was good. I just wanted to watch it.
Yeah, no, that's completely fair. I mean, the reason why I'm asking that is because for me, sometimes I think it that way. That is, I hear about this movie, and it's like even if I don't know too much about it, I think that it's more enjoyable if we can actually discuss about it like right away after that, after watching it. So as this was your pick,
Jose, what was this movie about? Please tell me.
so this movie is about Gérard Depardieu. But he's not in 2/3 of the movie. But it's about him. He's like the main narrator of the movie, and he talks about his master. He's a viola player in the 17th century in France. And this story goes about his master, how he, after his wife died, he decided to just like drop his previous lifestyle and just dedicate full-heartedly to music with his 2 daughters. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but he leads a very austere, is that a word?
Mhm.
Austere lifestyle. He creates his own instruments. He starts becoming like more and more popular because of how pure his music has become, how he added like one more string to the viola. But
So that guy's name is Monsieur de Saint-Colombe.
okay, that guy.
Yeah,
and his
he's
2
the
daughters.
master.
Yeah, he's the master. And one day, a really young and it's like hilariously pretty boy, a 17-year-old version of Gérard Depardieu that is like, this requires a very, very high suspension of disbelief to
But
just
like
think
the
that he was-
all-American version of the blonde guy with the super strong jawline.
But it was more about like, so you're telling me that this is supposed to be John
Gerard
Gerard Depardieu? I'm sorry, but this has to be some kind of contractual obligation by Gerard Depardieu about like, hey, you have to choose a handsome guy, you know. But in any case, he arrives there. He's the son of a shoemaker, but he has experience playing the viola. And after a couple of masters, they send him his way, like this guy's way, because he's the best and he wants to learn from the best, and one day end up playing for the king. Now, the king already tried to recruit this master,
Yeah.
And he
Saint
was
Cologne.
above. Yeah, he was above. This is like, music is not for this. I'm not here for entertaining.
Art for the
Just
sake
live
of art, not art for the sake of kings.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the story, and it has like 30 more minutes where we actually see how this guy is never really trained by him, but he's trained by his daughter that he has a crush on this guy, one of the daughters.
Well, they have a romantic relationship.
Well, they end up having a romantic relationship after the master like kicks the pupil out. Is like the daughter is like, no, I will teach you everything that I know that my father teach me. And then it's like he becomes like the main viola player for the king, and at the end like the I don't know how to even say, like the director of the symphony, of the king's symphony. I don't know how to call it. So he becomes like super successful. The daughter, like after he learns everything and he has a career, Gérard Depardieu, he abandons the daughter. The daughter goes crazy. She commits suicide.
What was she sick with? I don't think I caught that.
Heartbreak.
It was just heartbreak.
It was
one of
They
those like
never released
mysterious 17th century illnesses where your face just gets like droopy and sad. And...
Oh my god, there is this scene, I don't know if you caught it, but it's like at least on the TV, it was like pretty obvious, when he orders for Gérard Depardieu to come to see the daughter because she's about to die, and they're like waiting at night, and he doesn't come, and the daughter is like just walking back and forth, like under the night, but it's like, it's not really night, it's a blue filter, like really obvious blue filter.
I hate those scenes.
I hate them, but it's like she wears like makeup, and she was like the kid from The Exorcist.
Oh.
Like very, very bad makeup about like, oh, you thought that people wouldn't realize about it because it's nighttime. They know it's terrible.
We just watched Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and one of the most insulting things Joel says about Clementine, not to her face, is, well, no, he says it to her face, is that she just wants people to fuck her because that's the only way she can get people to like her. And that just kept going through my head when I watched this daughter, because this character is so devoid of any detail. It's just like, she just loves this guy and wants to be fucked.
No, these characters are not designed to be understood as characters.
They're not characters, they're caricatures.
Yep.
And poor ones at that.
No, they're just character in a Renaissance painting, and I'm already going to be like jumping a bit into because the story continues, and at the end is like the master like makes like the pupil understand like what is the real meaning of music, and basically is a depression for the rest of his life, and that's it. Now, every single frame of this movie, it could be a Renaissance painting.
Yep.
Everything.
It's beautiful.
It's beautifully shot, incredibly. But I almost feel like all of these characters, they have the same depth as 99% of these characters in a Renaissance painting. That is that you're a 2D thing that it has to be there, but you don't give me anything else about like who you truly are.
So you and I, we try not to talk about the movies that we're going to review on the podcast outside of the podcast, because then the best bits of our genius are lost. But I told you, I think today or yesterday, I was like, I don't understand the motivations of a single character in this film. I was like, these aren't real, like fully realized human beings. It's like you said, it's like this is a painting stretched out over 2 hours.
Yep. And as I told you, is
with beautiful music, very beautiful.
Beautiful music,
and beautiful
cinematography.
Imagery.
Yeah, no doubt about that. The acting is not necessarily bad. It's not necessarily good either.
No, so when you ask me, was there anything artistic? I will not say the performances.
That's fair. Or the script, that's for sure. But the cinematography is incredible. But it's like, I almost felt like, hey, would have enjoyed looking at a Renaissance painting for 2 hours, and the answer would be no.
But would you have enjoyed it the same as watching this film? Maybe.
Maybe a tiny bit more, because he wouldn't talk to me, you know. I wouldn't be like confused about like, okay, why? Why? Because I understand that the main characters are like the master is an asshole. Sure, you know, he's like just in grief for the loss of his wife, and he actually, I forgot to say that then at some point he starts seeing his dead wife ghost.
Yeah, he starts to have some sort of mental illness, like not schizophrenia, but like he talks to himself and he sees visions.
But at the same time, it's not that he's going crazy. It's like he's a little more of a coping mechanism, because we don't see at any point that the wife appears when other people is there. It's more like he commodes with music up to a point that he can start seeing his wife. So he's like, whatever.
Sure. I believe you, but like I care so little about that guy. Like, okay, whatever. He was a bitter bitch, and he didn't want to share his music. He realized he was wrong, and he died.
Well, but the funny thing is that Gérard Depardieu character is not better at all. Because
they're all shitty people. Well,
the daughter is not.
The daughters are fine, but they're a little, they're empty. Like women were written in the 90s. No, it's not no fault of their own, but they're not treated as like full humans.
Yeah, clearly the script is not too good, but also at the same time the script didn't make any kind of effort for trying to portray these girls as something else besides a temptation from young Gérard Depardieu.
Just something that wanted to be fucked, and I say that super crudely, but. That was the function of the women in this story. So there's actually a younger sister, who gets married and has 5 kids, and it's like, oh, so these are just like women that were meant to procreate or be
Well, it was 17th century. Yeah.
It was also 1991 in France, so I'm just saying they could have treated them like humans.
Like Isabelle Huppert.
They could have at least wanted to be raped.
Well, there was not too much difference, honestly. But yeah, I left the movie like completely empty, and I think that I sent you like the message immediately that, dude, this movie, it lasts less than 2 hours. It feels like I've been watching it for 10.
You sent me that message, and I was grocery shopping at the time, and I was like, why the fuck is he watching this movie? I told him not to watch this movie.
I told you that I was going
No, I know, but
I owe it to you.
Even after I watched it, and we were going to talk about it on the podcast, I was like, this is an experience Jose could skip and we would just be fine.
The movie was absolutely fine. No, it was interesting, and I have to say that at least from an aesthetic perspective, there is a lot of effort and love put into it.
So your partner is a classically trained opera singer. Did you watch it with him?
Yeah.
And did he like it?
He was like a bit like sleepy, you know. So from that perspective, that he was not paying as much attention.
Okay. I wanted his expert opinion because my basic ass is like, nope.
No, well, I mean, he is playing some aspects, you know. He was saying, this is the Baroque instrument, and he really likes Baroque music, you know. So he was explaining, we were discussing a bit more about, like, why did the viola, like, change so much, you know, from what we see here to the current instruments, you know.
But you see, like, I had that same curiosity, like, why is this hermit in, like, rural France so worshipped, so important? Like, I would have loved to have understand the art of his playing, but the film didn't care about that in a way. It was just like, oh, he's an angry old man. That's it.
I think that they thought that it was more interesting to talk about him as a character, you know, as a human being, when actually it's not.
It's not enough. That guy wasn't interesting. I mean, his grief was profound, and of course that's something worthy of telling in stories, but I don't feel like the filmmakers got the grief across. I mean,
just think about Amadeus. Let's just put Amadeus here, you know, like another biopic of a composer. I was like, Amadeus makes you want to know more about the character. And he's jaded. He's like, he's not perfect by any means.
So did this film make you want to learn either more about Monsieur Saint-Colombe or Marin Marais?
No.
Yeah, no. They made them the most boring characters in the world. And even their music, so I played the music from that trailer.
Yeah.
I find it beautiful. They didn't play the interesting pieces in the film. They were like...
Maybe they didn't have the rights.
This is in the public domain. This is like 200 years ago. They could have... I don't understand. I feel like this was a missed opportunity. I also discovered after I asked you to watch the film and after I watched it that this was like I'm going to say this wrong, but a César award favored in France. Like, France went insane about this film. It was like best cinematography. I think it was best film. A couple of best actor awards, and I was like, no, France, you're really good at film, not this one.
But the César Awards are basically like the Goya in Spain, that they're a bit more like just focused on local cinema. Sorry, like just French cinema. No?
Yes, but I don't know about the Goyas, but I've heard the César is like, it's the Oscars of France, so it's somewhat respected. I know the Oscars are. They get everything
what I mean
wrong.
is like that we say the same thing about the Goyas, and then we laugh.
Okay, so it's not that respected.
Maybe the Césars are, you know, but it's like for me when I heard it in the past, it's that's like winning a Goya. For me, that doesn't tell me much, because it's that the pool that you have is a reduced one. You are like fictionally reducing like what you consider cinema for giving this award. It's like,
So
you're
this
only speaking French,
this
so you
could
don't
be the
deserve it.
crash of 1991.
Correct. Maybe that year was like the worst one. It was like an annus horribilis for
Well,
cinema in France.
Let's be honest, you and I consume a shit ton of film, a shit ton of European films, and
Yeah.
neither of us had ever even
No.
heard of this film.
No, and I was surprised when you told me about it. It's like, okay, at least it has to be interesting, but I'm surprised that I didn't hear about a period piece, about a musician.
Right? You, me, and your boyfriend should have known about this film, and we didn't,
Yeah.
and it's because time forgot this film
For a
as it
reason.
should. Yes.
For a very big reason. Yeah, and I don't think that with what is happening right now with Gérard Depardieu, he's going to be making a comeback anytime soon.
Well, you're the one that told me today. I only knew that he pissed on an airplane. I didn't know that he's accused of rape.
Yeah.
If, I probably wouldn't have wanted to
let's
watch this.
not
but
go on record on this. Is that this is what I heard in the news when I was in Spain a couple of weeks
It
ago.
could be fake news. We don't know.
We don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, you know that they received the Legion of Honor or whatever it's called, like the medal. of
So
honor.
there's probably some.
There is something.
Yeah,
There is
something's wrong.
Yeah, and I think that Macron had like some kind of interesting declaration a couple of days ago. But no, it left me like one of those movies that, if we go over the questions, I can tell you, I'm not going to remember this movie next week.
Because there's nothing to remember.
No.
It's just about a bitter old man who doesn't want to teach a genius and refuses to recognize it.
Did you like the part when they're playing the viola? Because that's something that I was talking with my boyfriend while watching, and he was saying, is like, yeah, these people don't have like too good of digitization, Like
No.
the position of the fingers, I was like, I don't think it's 100% correct.
When I recognized this film was not about the characters, it was just like, hey, there's this bigger than life story we're gonna tell, except the story wasn't bigger than life. I was like, okay, well, they're gonna focus on the quality of the music, of the
Yep.
performances.
Yep.
And even that, I was like, you could have shown the camera
Yeah.
just on the hands of a professional viola player.
Correct.
And they didn't. They're like, nope, we're going to keep this with the actors who have never played a viola before.
I've never seen a viola. No, but I was thinking the piano player.
Okay.
Remember, like the Adrian Bodry Polanski
Yeah.
movie? And it's like, I remember that it's like when he's playing, like the camera is really well positioned, so you cannot see his hands. He's just making like the movements, but it's like then actually
when it
when
shows
they
the
show
hands,
it's
it's
like they
clearly
have
not
actually
him,
like a
right?
professional like maestro, like worldwide. I don't remember who it was, but it's like I remember like checking it out, and it's like, yeah, this is like someone of an incredible level, In this case, it was more like you didn't even do the effort. For you, it was more interesting about like just putting them like full body, like surrounded by other people, and just pretending to play when it was clear that they were not really.
And what's weird is they had the budget. They clearly had the budget to do this. This was a period piece through and through. The sets were insane.
Yeah.
The horse-drawn carriages, the
Yeah.
costumes, and they just didn't invest in the things that I thought they should have invested in if they were going to make this a worthwhile film.
Yeah. So we go over the questions. Well, we have to go. over the
Say.
questions.
Well, you already answered this. You would not watch this again.
I don't think that I answered that one, but no, I won't.
I would absolutely not watch it. In fact, I told you because you hadn't seen it by the time we got to Palm Springs.
Okay.
I said, don't bother. I was like, there's
Let's
no
just
need.
skip
To...
it.
Nope.
Let's skip it.
Let's just skip this. Would you recommend this?
No.
Yeah, there's no conversation where I'd be like, have you seen Tous les matins du jour?
Look, in a universe where you have stuff like Amadeus out there,
Yeah, there's no.
this is
Also, plug for Amadeus. Holy fuck, that's a good movie.
Well, Amadeus is 3 hours long, and it feels
But
like
it's insane.
90 minutes, because it's like super, like the pace is really good, and that I'm not a period pace like lover, but it's like all of the depiction of it's Prague, no? No, it's not Prague, it's Vienna. It's
yeah,
Vienna.
Vienna.
Sorry. It's amazing. Is that they apply like the budget in the right way. The music is amazingly used.
That's interesting because Amadeus came out in '84. This came out in '91.
Yep.
And I think Barry Lyndon came out in '89. So this was that like '80s phase of period pieces
Yeah.
where they just hopped on at the tail end.
Instead of going off with the bang, they went with a fart.
Yeah,
They
no.
went fart like. Bleh. No.
I would also not recommend this ever. Will you remember this?
Nope. as I told you, next week, as soon as I land back in Chicago, I think that I'm not going to remember anything about this movie.
So I'm actually going to say yes, because all there is to remember is bitchy old guy refuses to teach man who gets successful and then accepts him.
So if someone asks you, if I ask you a year from now and I ask you only this, don't look it up, but it's like, what was all of the mornings of the world about?
I would think I'll remember that it was that awful old man that wouldn't teach Marin Marais.
Okay. No. You may have like
that's
better
the
memory.
entire story after 2 hours.
Yeah, but it's like I don't think that even that title would actually just like make me or something.
Oh no, I have no connection
That's
to
what
the
I'm
title.
saying.
And like the little facts, like Marin Marais actually gifts these beautiful shoes to the daughter.
Yeah.
After he becomes successful, she refuses to accept them, but then she hangs herself with the ribbons from the shoes. Like, I'm not gonna remember any of that shit.
It's not important.
And it's not interesting.
Yeah.
So there's no need to.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will not remember. Well, I said yes because it's very simple, but
Yep.
maybe I'll forget. Is there anything artistic about this film?
Yes, there is.
What?
Yes, there is. I mean, I told you that it's like the composition of the frames is like it's a fucking Renaissance painting every single frame. There is merit to that. That part, the cinematography, I think that they nailed it. It's just ridiculous. Because my boyfriend and I were watching it, like, at the beginning we were like, oh, that looks like a Renaissance painting. Oh, that looks like a Renaissance painting. Oh my god, all the fucking movie looks like a Renaissance painting.
I agree with you, but my answer is going to be no, because when I think about this film, nothing like jumps out as artistic. You're right. The framing is great, but it's not enough for me to call this an artistic film.
I'm just trying to be fair. I'm just
And
saying, yeah.
I get it.
I'm just saying that I'm not going to be like letting my overall, this is not good, to trump that effort.
Okay, so is this a timeless piece?
It's a timeless piece of shit.
Yes, it will be boring in any time.
Correct. That's a
Any
yes.
time. So
That's a
yes,
yes.
it's timeless for me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a period piece. There's no technology. It tries to address timeless themes. It fails, but yeah, I would call it timeless.
Yeah.
Would you turn this into a TV show?
Never. I will never do that.
No, I would not either. There wasn't even enough for 2 hours of cinema.
But there they were.
Could this have been a short? And this was almost 2 hours. It was like 1:50, right?
Yeah, it was almost 2 hours.
If you don't have an answer, I do.
I'm going to go. I wish that it had been a short, but I think that if you were to tell this story, it needs to be more than an hour. It could be better told, But I think that it's like at least like the story points that you're trying to tell, they require more than an hour.
So my answer is yes, and I feel like this could have been a super, super tight, music-influenced 20-minute short. Like, if they played that beautiful piece from The Triangle of Sadness, if they had, like, made music the pace of the story, you could fold everything from, like, wanting to study with this guy, and then not being able to, and then falling in love with the daughter, and then going off to the king, and then coming back at the end of the guy's life. You could have done this in 20 minutes, and it could have been more impactful.
I still think that you will need more than an hour, but I respect it.
Alright, do you think this movie could have been better?
Definitely. That is clear duties and just give it to someone else.
And give it to other actors, like... Well, everyone but Gérard Depardieu did fine acting, but the script did not give anything interesting at all for these actors to do.
Yeah. I would say I like the master. I think that he did okay.
He was good.
A tormented, bitter old man.
But again, we should have known more about him, his relationship with his wife. Why was it so traumatic? I just needed a little bit more.
Yeah, it was not like properly developed. So it was hard to sympathize.
Alright, so there's... Now we just have to score it. This is going to be tough because the last 3 films we rated very highly.
Well, we have to balance things out.
We do. This is an experimented film. We played with the medium. This was a failure. So you have to score.
I don't think that this was experimental. in any way?
No, this was experimental for us.
Oh,
We don't
for
like
us.
period pieces. We don't like films we haven't heard of.
Yeah. Well, you have a tolerance for period pieces.
I do.
Yeah, I do not. I do not. I think that this is a failure in many levels.
But I want to be clear, we disagree what a period piece is, because for me, the last Tarantino film is a period piece, and for you, it's not.
What's about in Hollywood?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think well, it doesn't matter. We have different definitions of period pieces.
Okay. So you usually understand that it's a bit more like whatever is made from decades from the past.
Yeah, it's just a time that looks different than ours.
Okay, and you have to force it. For me, yeah, that's it, but it has to be like at least a span of 80 years. It has to be like pre-World War II.
So again, World War films are not period pieces for you. No, I just want to be clear that we're defining
World War
things.
II, they're not. World War I, yeah.
So it's like the 1930s. That's supposed to be cut off.
Exactly, it's like,
Okay.
that's like the cutoff.
That's fine.
And it hasn't moved much, but it's like it's a century, basically.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So a tournament is a period piece because it's World War
World War
I.
One.
Correct.
So Downton Abbey, period piece, totally
Period
fine.
piece.
But in the third season, when they get to World War II, it's no longer a period piece.
No. Now it's contemporary.
Okay, so Jose, this was my pick. You have to score 1 to 10.
1 to 10. Wow, so many options. As I was saying, it's like I don't think that this succeeds in anything interesting, and I don't even know if there is like something interesting to be done here,
There's not. I don't think so.
But what I mean is like there are some times that we see stuff that we think that is like, look, this didn't succeed, but there is like something here that you could have rethought it, in a different way to actually come up with something interesting. In this case, I walk away like I don't want to know more about this, and even like what I learned is not interesting. It's like it's occupying a space in my mind. So from that perspective, I feel like it was a waste of my time. I would give it a 4.5. Because I like it, the framing, like the cinematography, I thought that it was interesting.
So I was going back and forth between 4.5 and 5, and I'm going with 4.5. It's sad because technically it's a fine film. For me, it's the story. There's nothing interesting about the story. Nothing. The characters aren't interesting. The music's not interesting. So it's less than a mediocre film.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't even have the promise of being a better film.
Not even the promise how it has. Yeah, I fully agree. Okay. Anything else to say about?
No, just I really wouldn't recommend this to anyone. so don't
away.
watch it. I mean, you're not getting. No, just.
Yeah. Do better. Do something better.
Yeah.
There has to be. Like do drugs. It's fine.
Right.
Yeah.
Go to therapy.
Grow into a better person. But yeah, so this was your pick. So I'm picking next, and I'm going back to Yorgos Lanthimos.
Which Yorgos Lanthimos?
Like the most recent one. We're going to be watching.
The second most recent.
Well, we're going to be watching Good Things.
Oh, okay.
Yeah? No?
Yeah. No, I thought we were going to a different one, but.
Well, I mean, we can go to a different one. I mean, just to be completely like pulling the curtain, is like we may have watched one of us,
The Killing of the Sacred Deer, which we've both seen. I just haven't seen recently.
Yeah. But we're going to be like discussing Poor Things as we actually went to the cinema, like
in Palm Springs.
In Palm Springs to watch it.
All right.
Yeah. Okay.
More to come.
Yeah. You're welcome. You're welcome for what?
No, I said more to come.
Oh, okay. I thought that you were saying like you're welcome about all the mornings of the world. No. Okay. Thank you so much for listening to us. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.